Thank you, Blaine. This is a story about internet dating. And this story happens kind of in the beginning of the era of internet dating. I would say that was maybe early 2000s. And it still wasn't very cool to internet date, which now I think it's really cool. So it's a lot easier to do. But at that time, it was not as cool. But it was a great way to meet people, I thought. And when I started, I had a moral dilemma. And that was that there were so many people. And it felt bad to say, no, I don't want to meet you. So I thought, I'll just meet everyone. Great plan. So I decided that I would meet anyone who wanted to meet me. I would meet them, and I would just learn a little bit about them. I thought of it as a social experiment. And I learned a lot about humans. They are all very different. And at a date, at an internet date, you kind of get the whole life story. If you've gone on one, you get the whole story. I went on a date with someone who told me at one point that he let his cat eat his earwax. I went on a date with someone who had a really cool thing to show me, such a cool thing that he wanted to go on a bike ride to show me this thing. So we went on a bike ride and we came to this building and it had one very tall bush and two rounded bushes beside it. He was like, isn't this the coolest thing you've ever seen? The more dates I went on a date with someone who didn't speak English, and that was a challenge. And I kept going on these dates, and the more dates I went on, the more I thought, I am not compatible with anyone. I'm really not. And it actually, like, seeing all these people, you'd think it was, you know, maybe generous or nice to meet them, but it only delayed the obvious, no, sorry, that's not going to work for me. But one day, I had an internet date set up, and it was with a man who we will call John. John was a farmer, and that was about all it said in his profile. Oh, he was laid back, he didn't want any drama, he was taller than me, with all things that sounded great. So we agreed to meet for tea. We met for tea, and I thought he was pretty cute, he was friendly, but he was in a big rush, and he said, I'm sorry, I actually can't, he was like guzzling his tea, he said, I'm really sorry, I can't stay. We just butchered a goat, and I have to get back to the farm where we're making sausage tomorrow. I really have to go. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. You actually killed the animal and you're making sausage? I had been a vegetarian in college, but then afterwards I started eating meat, and I thought, so cool. And he was like, you think it's cool, you can come. Why don't you come out? You can help us make sausage. We're doing it tomorrow. And I was like, oh, that sounds fun. Some of you would have known better, I think. And I didn't have a car, so I had to take the Max all the way out to the end of the line in Gresham. Gresham is a place full of memories for me. All the way to Gresham. Really early in the morning, I rode my bike to the Max. I took the Gresham Transit Center Max all the way to the end of the line. It was about maybe 6:30 in the morning. And he met me there in his car. He looked really tired. I don't know what kind of sausage prep he'd been doing. He was like, hi, get in. I got in the car and I sat down and there was no seatbelt. And I thought, is this safe, what I'm doing? And the car started off. I had my bike parked. This is also before cell phones were really a thing. I didn't have a cell phone. And I thought, what am I doing? I'm driving with this man I never met, in this car that doesn't have a seatbelt. And I tried to make conversation with him, but he was so tired, he could not do it. And he popped in this tape into the tape deck, and immediately the Backstreet Boys started playing. I don't know if you remember the Backstreet Boys. There's a very popular song called Mbop.
Yeah.
Mbop. Mbop. That was playing. And it was so surreal because without judging boy bands, it was not what I would have expected from him. And he also didn't seem like he was like listening to it in an ironic way. He was like kind of into it as he was like sleepily driving, no conversation, mbop. And we drive out to the farm, and we get out. And I was surprised to see what did not look to me much like a farm. There was a lot of dead grass, or dry grass, and there were a few buildings. He parked the car, and we got out. There's some abandoned vehicles. I know, you're like, nothing bad happens to me in this story. It all turns out. So he walks towards this house, and this house has like a big hole in the side of it, and it's stuffed with foam. Like someone had been like, oh, this house has a problem, and it has a hole in it. We'll just stuff some foam in it. That'll solve the problem. Like yellow foam. We enter, and there's kind of a kitchen. It's kind of a gutted out house, and immediately he says to me, I'm really tired, I have to take a nap. And he goes and takes a nap. And I'm standing there what have I done? I'm where am I even? And I'm here, and he's taking a nap. I sat down on this sunken couch, and there was a copy of Siddhartha there. I'm good. Well, I'm here for the experience, I'm gonna look around. So I started wandering around this farm, and first of all, I looked for where are they growing the vegetables. I think there's more people than just this guy who is now napping. There were some struggling zucchini plants, and there's no sign of real farm that was working. There was some sad plants that were half dying in rows, and there was a tree with a squirrel's pelts nailed to it. There were some outbuildings, so I thought I'll explore the outbuildings. I went in, and there were more abandoned vehicles. There was one horse that looked really sad, tied close to a fence. And I kind of took a loop around, and then I noticed some people coming in out of the woods. They were coming towards the house. These are people who had been sleeping in the woods, and then because they wanted to, and then were coming to do the sausage plan. So I came in, he was still napping, but a woman started cooking. The house had no electricity, it had no running water. They had a pump, an old-fashioned pump for a well, and they had a stove that they were cooking with wood, very old-fashioned. And she started cooking, and everyone started coming in for where they'd been sleeping because they preferred to sleep in the woods. And they were all pretty young, and they were all a little crusty looking, not in a bad way, but they had slept in the woods and were somewhat tattooed and looked kind of mad. Not at me, but just at society. It was a vibe. And I hadn't eaten breakfast, but there wasn't a lot of food, so I didn't take any. The guy woke up, John woke up, and the sausage making began. So the goat, which they had killed, was in these garbage cans. And the garbage cans were where the salt brine was, and it was this kind of green meat. So it was one person's job. I should mention here that I was wearing kind of a cute outfit. Why? I just thought it's a date, it's a sausage date. I was wearing a somewhat cute outfit. Among which were these white canvas shoes. So the sausage making began. They had this kind of hand crank where there was no electricity, so someone had to crank the meat, and someone had to catch the meat as it was cranked out in these long sausage casings, which were actually intestines of other animals. And my job, as all this was happening, was to turn this intestine inside out, which you do with water. It's a thing you have to do, I don't know why. And so here I am with the world's longest condom, it seems full of water, this huge thing. And my supposed date is has not spoken more than a handful of words to me. I was chopping up the bones of this goat. We turn it around and we start to make the sausage. Now making sausage was something new to this group also, I gathered. The reason why I gathered this is because it did not go smoothly. It was new. It was a new process. The casings kept exploding, and when they were exploding, you'd be oh, there's meat everywhere. You get the meat and put it back in and tie off the sausage. It's there was so much meat. There was meat on the floor. It was everyone was it was very meaty. And also, the date aspect of it was not even happening. It's this guy was not, either he didn't like to talk, or he was I don't know, he was a silent guy. I did end up kind of befriending this younger woman. She was 20-something. She liked to sing rounds, so we kind of got everyone singing rounds, which I found fun. And we continued to make sausage, but there was so much meat. At one point, we took a break and ate some of the sausage, which really made me feel queasy because I had been handling it, and it wasn't that it tasted bad. It was just the whole process was not stimulating to the appetite. So we continued to make sausage for 7 hours. And all the while I was like, how can I get out of here? How can I stop doing this? They asked someone for a ride home, but everyone was the group was in the mode of finishing the sausage project, and I was like, well, who am I to stand in the way of sausage for this group? So we continued to make sausage until we had filled 3 of these big coolers, and the goat was gone, been rendered into sausage. My nice white canvas shoes were the color of pinkish gray meat. And my outfit had all these grease spots on it, and I was exhausted. I had been working this whole day doing this. And then they were like, you should stay, we're gonna do a bonfire. You can stay in the woods. As if I would just sort of join the clan now. And I'm like, I'll never get out of here. And I'm like, no, it's been great. It's been really great. But I do need to get back. Someone please give me a ride back. And John was like, I'll give you a ride. So I got back in John's car. Again, the Backstreet Boys went in and Bob started up. And we drove back to the transit center, not speaking. At this point, I was very tired, and I also was oh, I can't wait till I get home and change out of these greasy clothes and never make sausage again in my life. And he was thinking his own thoughts, which were a mystery to me. But he did share some of them as we stopped at the transit center. He turned off the car, he even popped out the tape, and he said, I don't think it's going to work out for us. Romantically. But I'd really like it if you came back again and helped out at the farm.